Pat Hunter here with Technique Junkies, and today we're going to be making that pretty contemporary floral vine card you saw, the square card that you saw at the beginning of the tutorial. I want to point out a couple of things we're going to be doing today. We're making a square card. We're making a 5.5 by 5.5 square card. Paper from this square card is coming from this pack of paper, and I can't get it all on the camera, so I'm just going to kind of tear it apart a little bit here. This Parkling 50 cards and envelopes. There are 50 square cards and 50 matching envelopes, and it's $11.99 for those 50 cards and envelopes. And yes, I am very much aware that it costs more to mail a square card, but my theory is this: I'm already spending, a little bit of money on the supplies here and there. I can afford another 50 or 60 cents for mailing a square card because they're awesome. Why not? So we're going to be using the Contemporary Floral Vine, the SD1174, and we're going to be using it with Versamark. We're actually going to be heat embossing this. This is an old technique, so we're going to be embossing this. So this cardstock is nice and thick. It's a nice, I think it's about an 80 pound, and I cut another piece down to 5 by 5, and I made a little black layer. You can see I have a layer, so we're going to have a layered card because we're going to be putting words over the top from the SS117 Fab 5 Phrases set of 10. So, and we're going to be using the Spa Collection Apothecary from Catherine Pooler Inks. This is the newest middies that Catherine Pooler has come out with. So we're going to be using Matcha, and I love this green. This is the color of my studio. I painted it that color. The whipped honey, and the apricot. We're going to be using these three colors tonight. And let me show you what we're going to do. So the very first thing we're going to do is make sure I have a nice juicy Versamark pad, which I do. And I am going to create a Versamark background using that stamp. But before I do that, it's really important that you use a anti-static bag. I keep losing these. So last time I went to the store, I bought 2 of them and thought, well, usually I can find one of something if I have 2 of them. So now I have 2. So I am using, instead of using a stamp positioner with this, I am using a handheld acrylic block. And I am just going to be creating a little background here using that stamp. So you won't be able to see it very well until I heat emboss it, but you'll get the idea from watching me do it. So I have some of it up there. This is kind of like just creating your own little customized background. Some here. And I'm not afraid to go off the cardstock a bit while I'm doing this. And I am re-inking with my stamp each time I pick it up. So I'm going to put one here. And we want to get we'd like to get most of this covered with a stamp. And then I'm going to put some in this corner here. I'll turn this way. Okay, so now that is all Versamarked, I'm going to go off camera. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm going to go off camera. I'm going to put embossing powder on this and heat emboss it and come right back. Okay, so you can see that I've heat embossed that. So let's add some ink to that. And by the way, we're going to be decorating our envelope and the inside of our card today too, because why not? We can make them pretty. So I'm just going to start with, the matcha green. And I am going to just put this on the pad. Now my finger's on top of this oval and I'm pressing down in nice circular motions and starting off the cardstock, so I make sure I get the edges where I can. And everywhere there's ink, it will resist this Catherine Pooler ink because this is the dye ink. And I'm going to just go over this until I find the color intensity that I like in each area. So I'm just going to put a little there. I'm going to put a little in the center. And this is my darkest color. So I just want to be aware of that when I'm putting the other colors down. They do blend pretty nicely with this, especially the whipped honey. So there's that. So I'll put a little green here and there. And I'm being quite random about this. I want to make sure that I have all the colors represented throughout the card pretty much. So next I'm going to be using the apricot, and I do have an apricot brush open, but it is in my booth right now, so I'm using plain old orange. I have them labeled. So again, I'm just going over it. And then finally the whipped honey. Much more subtle color. Go. So one last step I'm going to do, I'm going to be using the gold shimmering bliss to make this shimmer just a little bit, and I'm using a very light amount of this. You notice I'm rolling it between my hands to move the mica off the bottom, and it keeps the mica out of the nozzle by rolling it. So I'm just going to give this a quick little shot there, and if you can see how it just added that gorgeous gold. And then I'm going to take a paper towel and just kind of give that a little swipe, let that soak in for a second, and then give that a swipe. And what that does is if there's any ink residue on top of the Versamarked flowers, it comes right off. Also removes any excess ink that you have on there. So isn't that pretty? And just putting it all together. We can just add a couple sequins to this. And then let's decorate the inside and the outside like I promised you. Okay, so I'm going to add a little decoration to the inside and outside of my card. So I am going to actually lay my piece flat and add a little apricot to these 3 flowers. Just a tiny bit of decoration, and then the matcha over the vines. And we're going to be using the same colors and decorations on the outside of the envelope also. So let's just put that on the inside here. So we have that pretty flower on the inside. Isn't that gorgeous? So there's the outside of the card, and there is the inside of the card. And let me do the envelope. Nice big envelope here. So again, you need to re-ink every time you do this. And there's the outside. So now we have a completed set, an envelope with a completed card. That's our tutorial today. I hope you enjoyed watching our simple ink resist, a throwback to an old technique. And I hope you will consider subscribing to the Technique Junkies channel on YouTube. Thank you for watching today. I'll see you next time. Bye now.